you are getting a really solid machine here that is capable of a lot of amazing things and really owning your own masterpiece. Not to mention that this phone is kind of a masterpiece on its own. Vivo's bold flagship is finally here. Continuing their partnership with ZEISS, the Vivo X80 Pro comes out with a lot of different camera features that can rival any other flagship out there. But before we dive into that, here is a quick word from Tito James.
Hey guys, before we get to the rest of the video, I just want to let you know that we partnered up with NAS Academy to give you guys the Philippine YouTube Growth Master Course featuring an all-star cast from the UCN family. Of course, we have Carlo Ople, Jacob Alava, Nicole Alba, Liz of LizTech. Leia will be teaching you how to monetize your channel. I will be teaching you how to shoot and edit your videos quickly. This will be taught live over the course of 6 weeks, and if you want to know more, head to nasacademy.ph/unbox. We hope to see you guys there. Now back to the rest of the video.
Alright, thank you Tito James. Now back to the Vivo X80 Pro. Now let's first take a look at their box. Now, Vivo's packaging in this is quite unique. It is more flat and square than the other smartphone boxes I've tried out this year. It does have a leather textured box that from the get-go already makes this phone stand out. Now, we're first greeted with the phone itself on the left-hand side that we'll get into a bit later. Now, under the phone itself, we'll find two separate boxes. The first one containing a bikini of a case for the X80 Pro itself, some paperwork, and the SIM ejector tool. Now in the other box, we'll find the pretty chunky 80-watt flash charger from Vivo themselves. It does give us, they say, full battery in just under 14 minutes, a USB-C cable, as well as a surprising pair of USB-C earphones that we don't really find in a lot of smartphones nowadays. Now we also have a 50-watt vertical flash charger, but it is a separate purchase. Now it doesn't come with its own power supply, so you'll have to use that 80-watt flash charger from the X80 Pro to power this awesome wireless charger. So that's enough about the boxes. That itself is already incredibly premium. Let's move on to the actual build of the Vivo X80 Pro. Now here is the device itself, and unang mapapansin mo is that huge camera bump. Now it's a very large rectangular camera bump with another circular frame slightly raised above it that contains most of the cameras, but more on that later. Let's first take a look at the build, which is all glass surrounded by a metal frame. Now this is the cosmic black colorway that does give a really elegant look to the Vivo X80 Pro. Now elegante nga naman siya, but it is still low-key and simple. The textured glass on the back panel does get a little bit slippery, but it still gives an ultra premium feeling in the hand. Now, tingnan natin yung top railing, which features the saying of a professional photography, which is something that I can definitely agree with, as well as an IR blaster. Now, all of the buttons are found on the right-hand side of the Vivo X80 Pro and are recessed in this like trench on the right railing that does give a very tasteful mechanical look. Now on the bottom, we do find a SIM card tray, a USB port, and the bottom firing speaker for stereo sound, the second speaker being the earpiece. Now what I also really love about how this phone is designed is how seamless the back panel bleeds into the railing as well as the screen, which is a great time to talk about the screen of the Vivo X80 Pro. This phone's display is a noticeably large AMOLED screen at 6.73 inches. And like I said, these sides curve down all the way to the back panel. Now it does feature an adaptive refresh rate going all the way up to 120 Hz at depende sa pinapanood mo or tinitingnan mo, your refresh rate will adjust to save on battery life. Now, in terms of resolution, mayroon tayong W Quad HD Plus resolution here. Now, honestly, what I think surprised me the most when it came to this phone was that 3D ultrasonic fingerprint reader. This has to be the best, fastest, and most consistent fingerprint scanners that I have tried out, even on a flagship. And the area of the fingerprint scanner on the Vivo X80 Pro is pretty large, so in this case, size does matter. Now, the screen is an absolute beast, delivering amazing quality images and video for content consumption thanks to that W Quad HD Plus resolution and AMOLED technology. Now, you can also multitask and work on the Vivo X80 Pro because of that pretty large 6.73-inch screen as a whole, and with Widevine L1 certification, even problematic streaming applications like Amazon Prime Video, you are maximizing that huge crisp display on the Vivo X80 Pro for streaming services. Now, speaking about quality, let's talk about performance. Since this is Vivo's flagship, we do get cream of the crop specs here. Of course, we are getting the latest and greatest Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 to power this device and makes the FunTouch 12 OS on top of Android 12 run as smooth as butter. Now, in terms of memory, you can get up to 12 gigabytes of RAM on the Vivo X80 Pro, and thanks to virtual RAM expansion, you can expand it up to 16 gigs of RAM. That's how much RAM I have on my PC. Now, for internal memory, you can go as high as 512 gigs, which is something you might need, especially since we're not getting expandable storage on the Vivo X80 Pro. And since it is capable of 8K recording, you really need that space. Now, as for benchmarks, this phone is pretty close to other Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 phones and definitely handles gaming and multitasking with ease, but it is definitely aided by their additional co-processor, the Vivo V1 Plus chip, that aids in giving you next level all-round visual experience for shooting and gaming. This co-processor developed by Vivo boosts image quality and video quality using AI algorithms to reduce noise and improve nighttime performance, while also optimizing CPU resource allocation for marginally better battery life and temperatures. It can maintain the most demanding games available on the Play Store, including Genshin Impact at maximum settings, and still stay relatively cool thanks to their ultra-large liquid cooling vapor chamber. Now, the co-processor Vivo V1 Plus chip isn't just for gaming and overall performance, but it does handle a lot of the workload when it comes to image and video processing. So let's move on to the cameras. Now, as you can see, the bump on the X80 Pro is absolutely no joke, and neither are its cameras. Now, we're getting 4 different cameras here: a 50 megapixel main wide camera and a 48 megapixel ultra wide with a 114-degree field of view. Now, it may not be the widest field of view out there, but it is incredibly consistent when it comes to sharpness and detail with the main sensor. Now, we are also getting 2 telephoto cameras. Yes, no macros. 8 megapixel periscope for a very tight zoom and a 12 megapixel telephoto with gimbal stabilization for the clearest shots of far away subjects. Now, the main 50 megapixel ultra sensing GNV sensor does make for higher light sensitivity and overall better low light performance for photos and videos. Now, what I do like about Vivo's partnership with ZEISS is that it is more than just branding and software. You can clearly see ZEISS's design influence into the camera array with their lenses. The ZEISS T coating doesn't reflect any light at all, allowing the sensor to absorb more light for a better quality image. And that bigger sensor is made even better with Vivo's co-processor, the V1 Plus, dedicated to image processing to make for amazing photo performance no matter the lighting condition. Now, all this extra horsepower does allow the Vivo X80 Pro to replicate the effects of ZEISS's anamorphic lenses. Now, all that horsepower also extends to their video taking capabilities, like ZEISS Cinematic Capture, that does give you a natural bokeh effect, framing your subject in a very natural looking blur. The stabilization is also stellar on this device. Gimbal stabilization on the Vivo X80 Pro is definitely one of the smoothest videos I've seen on any smartphone so far. Now, even with movement, we get minimal artifacting. We get a very pure image. So kahit i-screenshot mo yung video, it'll still look like a high quality image, really making videos taken on this phone look like it was taken on a much larger camera. All of these different elements really elevate the Vivo X80 Pro when it comes to video. The much wider aspect ratio, lowered frame rate, and smooth as butter stabilization really makes videos taken on the Vivo X80 Pro look like a masterpiece, but all you really do is just press a button. Alright guys, so this is the 32 megapixel front-facing shooter on the Vivo X80 Pro. And yes, it does also feature the cinematic mode from ZEISS, which does try to mimic their anamorphic lenses compared to a regular bokeh effect. So it does make your video quite a little bit more unique, other than the being 24 frames per second and being in this very wide aspect ratio. Personally, I really like it. You just can't use it in a vertical mode. It just looks too long and it's kind of weird, but it does isolate you in a very nice, unique way, unique ZEISS way. So This is the 32 megapixel front-facing shooter. Now moving on to the battery. The battery on this phone is a 4700 milliamp hour cell, and with the 80-watt charger included in the box, we are looking at just 40 minutes for a full battery. Now this phone is also capable of wireless charging, but thanks to their 50-watt vertical wireless flash charger, you can get 5 to 65% in just 30 minutes from wireless charging. But of course, it only works on their proprietary 50-watt vertical wireless charger. Now, the 4700 milliamp hour cell may not seem like that much, but thanks to the 4nm architecture on the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1, you can get up to 14 hours on this device according to PC Mark on Full HD Plus mode. So this phone can easily last you this whole day, even with a 120Hz AMOLED screen and that super huge camera array that does give you awesome camera performance. So that is Vivo's flagship this 2022, and their partnership with ZEISS allows them to lead the way in photography and videography with this incredibly powerful handset, especially with a dedicated co-processor, the V1 Plus chip, which further enhances gaming and image processing on the X80 Pro. Now, since this is Vivo's flagship, it does come in at pretty hefty price of 60,000 pesos, but in my opinion, you are getting a really solid machine here that is capable of a lot of amazing things and really owning your own masterpiece. Not to mention that this phone is kind of a masterpiece on its own. Now also, don't forget to stay tuned to Vivo's socials, as they will be releasing the Vivo Imaging Academy, wherein they take in world-renowned photographers to help workshop you and make the most out of your X80 series phone in terms of photography. So what do you guys think of this phone? Is this going to be your next flagship? Let us know in the comments down below. Once again, my name is Anton, and I'll see you guys next time.